What is up, everybody? Welcome on into our AT&T 5G virtual studios. This is the Call Up. I'm Susanna Collins. That is Jillian Sakovitz. So great to see you, lovely. What's going on?
Oh, I am so excited for today's episode. I feel like this is a name that somebody knows all around the circuits, but getting to talk to her, you realize like how much this woman really does. And it just makes me feel like my calendar is wide open compared to hers. I thought I was busy, but I guess I'm not.
I know. Okay, so we're wrapping up our Soccer for All speaker series in a collaboration with MLS Works as part of Black History Month with an incredible interview, you guys, with Danielle Slaton. Okay, like we said, this woman has like 10 jobs. She wears so many hats in the industry, and her impact on the game within the soccer community can be seen from all aspects of the sport, from the U.S. women's national team, starting as a broadcaster in the early days of the Big Ten Network to being on the board of the U.S. Soccer Federation. Danielle Slaton truly does it all. This is a really inspiring conversation. She is, you're right, Jill, she is somebody that is around and you see her, but I feel like this is a conversation where we kind of get to know just, what makes her tick a little bit, because she does so much.
You know what else there was to that is we see her so forward facing, right? Yeah. She's on so many boards for US Soccer. She's obviously a broadcaster. But to me, it was how much she does behind the scenes to grow the game. Like you may not know it, but you see Danielle Slaton in all facets of this game in the United States.
And she's a mom. And she's a mom to a little 2-year-old. She literally...
Minor asterisks.
She does it all. So this is our conversation with Danielle Slaton. It's a good one.
Time now for AT&T 5G Call to the Field. The woman that does it all, from a decorated player with the U.S. women's national team to a coach to a broadcaster. She also serves as the director of external relations at Santa Clara University, which, by the way, is a full-time job in itself. An ad board of U.S. Soccer Federation and Foundation, Danielle Slaton.
Yay! So happy to be with you all virtually. One day we'll be in person again.
I know.
Danielle, I know we get this question, right? And we don't nearly have the resume that you do. So when someone says to you, Danielle, oh, what do you do? What do you say?
I do other duties as assigned. I do a little bit of everything. I mean, I think in fairness, it depends on the person who's asking, right, in the context. But I really enjoy the variety of my life in a way. And I love that I get to tap into my passion in soccer and get to keep my toe in the game on a broadcasting sense that way. But the work I do at Santa Clara is in the School of Education and Counseling Psychology. And that is very purposeful to me. I think COVID has reiterated to all of us, like, the deep need for us to focus on mental health, the deep need for us to focus on our education system and our youth. So I feel like I get the best of both worlds in like deep meaning and purpose in what I do, and also the fun passion that I love in the game of soccer.
That's amazing. Multitasking. I think everyone's gotten really, really good at multitasking, but you take it to a whole new level, Danielle. We were doing some fun deep dives on you, and I read that you are the daughter of 2 PE teachers, which resonates with me. My father he's a retired PE teacher. So love that. Yes. But the reason that you got into soccer was because you were breaking things around the house, and your parents decided that they needed to find a safer activity or something less destructive for you to channel all of that energy. So you started playing soccer, and I just want to know, at what point did you think, you know what, I'm good at this? Like this is something that I'm going to excel at.
To be fair, I think because I'm older, like it happened later. I mean, I didn't have a ton of role models. I was 16 the first time the Olympics hosted women's soccer in Atlanta. And so growing up, I never realized soccer could be a thing. Like I wanted to be Ronnie Lott / Jackie Joyner-Kersee. Those were my role models because that's who I saw on TV and that's who I followed. So it really honestly wasn't until college. And I had been in with the youth national teams and getting a little bit of experience at the under 16 and under 20 level, because those were the only 2 youth national teams we had at the time. And then when the women won the World Cup in 99 and the coaching staff turned over from Tony DeCicco to April Heinrichs, I think that's when she was maybe bringing in some younger players or some new faces. And so I got my first sniff and I thought, oh, like this could be for real. Like I could actually do this. And I was a pre-med major through my senior year of college. I thought I wanted to be a doctor. And then I had to take physics. And I was like, oh no, I'm going to do the soccer thing. And we're going to go that route. So it was a little bit later, but I think that the fact that I didn't have that pressure or maybe that focus really allowed me to play other sports. I ran track, I did softball, I did volleyball, and kind of pursue all of these other interests that I had. And then not until I was really, 19, 20, really started to hone in on soccer as more than just a hobby, but a real career path.
Could be soccer player, could be doctor. Danielle Slaton, that is amazing. You mentioned going to Santa Clara, 4-year starter. You were the first overall draft pick by the Carolina Courage in 2002. Long before the days of the NWSL, it was the Women's United Soccer Association. You helped lead them to the championship game, and you were named that year's Defender of the Year. Yay! Fast forward, 20 years. We saw this month the first ever collective bargaining agreement with the NWSL, with things like a minimum salary of $35,000 being guaranteed. What was your reaction? Were you surprised it took this long?
Yes and no. I mean, I feel like, the reality is we still have a tremendously far way to go in women's sports. I mean, and $35,000 is progress, right? It is. But like 20 years ago, I was the number 1 overall draft pick and my salary in the WSA was $20,000. So, okay, like we've made some progress, but is $15,000 really the progress that we're aiming towards? Hell no. So I'm hopeful. I think that we are in an inflection point when it comes to soccer in this country. We are in an inflection point when it comes to women's sports in this country. There was just a massive deal that came out for investment in the WNBA, like $75 million. So I feel like we are at a point where things are gaining traction. Athletes are having a stronger voice, which is so massively important. And so I'm hopeful, but at the same time, I'm frustrated because I feel like the progress hasn't quite been as fast as I'd like to see. But, progress doesn't happen in a straight line. And so we've just got to keep trucking and keep moving forward.
Danielle, for you, when you talk about that hope, but then also counter that with the frustration, how do you speed that process up? Because it seems like this is something that should have been taken care of and addressed years and years ago, but here we are. So in your mind, like, have you had time to just kind of sit with this and think like, this is what should have been done? Or these are the conversations that should have been happening. These are the people that should have been in power making these decisions. What are those kind of conversations in your head look like?
I think I am naturally a more forward thinking than backward thinking person. And so for me, I reflect less on what should have happened and I reflect more on, all right, like, what can we do now? This is the path we're on. Do we want to be on this path all the time? Do we want to deal with the hurdles and obstacles in our path? Not always. It's not always, roses and unicorns and balloons. But what can we do? And I think the reality is that challenges like this are so massive that it doesn't just take one person. It doesn't just take women. It takes all of us figuring out how to use our platforms to move this forward. And some people have bigger megaphones than others, right? Like you look across MLS and you've got some players who have massive, massive followings and massive opportunities to help move this forward. And we need every single human to be able to speak up and to do what they can, and understanding that your sphere of influence might just be your neighborhood, or might just be the school you're around, or might just be your neighbor. But making sure that you do what you can to move this needle forward is going to be important. And that's the only way that we're going to get there.
Let's talk more about you, Danielle, and your career. You featured for the U.S. Women's National Team from 2000 to 2005, winning a silver medal at the 2000 Olympics, playing in the 2003 World Cup. When you look back at your time with the national team, particularly that squad, people like Mia Hamm, Brianna Scurry, Julie Foudy, Brandi Chastain, you were the baby of the group. Maybe what was that dynamic like for you when you look back at that time?
It was hard. Like, I think sometimes we look at the women's national team and we see their success and everything that that is great and wonderful and to celebrate about it. But we don't always see like the hard work that goes into it. And I think coming onto the national team after the women won in 99, being 19 years old and coming into that cohesive group was really difficult. And not only that, because they were like the women who were on like the posters on my wall. So not only are you trying to be like, yeah, I belong here. And then you're like, holy crap, that's Christine Lilly. Oh my God. And I have to try to defend her. Like, what am I doing here? But I think like the truth of it is the women's national team, and I can't speak to every team on the face of this earth, I haven't played there, but it is like high stress, high pressure. I mean, every day of your life, you're thinking, I could get fired tomorrow. I mean, like, think about what that would be like in your job, right? Like every day you wake up and you're like, if I am not at the top of my game today, I will not have a job tomorrow. And so that pressure is a very real thing. And you're not going to survive long on the women's national team if you can't figure out how to navigate that stress. And so, but I also think at the same time, like, that pressure is what has bred the success of the national team. That constant striving for greatness is part of why this team has then and continues to be the best in the world. And I think it's so difficult to stay at the top of the pinnacle. And it's really remarkable how the United States has been able to continue to do that, not only 20 years ago, but still even today.
How do you navigate that pressure, though? Because, you know, I broadcaster, right? I'm not going to lose my job the next day, but there is a level of pressure, and I haven't always been great at kind of compartmentalizing it or dealing with it mentally. So when you mention that heightened level of pressure, how did you deal with it and keep yourself healthy mentally?
I think you do a lot of mental gymnastics, and you do a lot of self-talk. I joke that like every conversation I have is with myself, and sometimes it involves other people. But I think the amount of time that we spent doing like psychological skills training was almost the same amount of time as we spent on the field, right? And I learned how to pick myself up. I learned like the tools that I needed to have positive self-talk. I learned so many skills like mentally that I know I need. And Jill, to your point, like I use them all the time when I'm on air, right? Like there is nothing like when that red light goes on and it's like, you gotta go, like get it together, you know, like you get one shot at this. And it's quite frankly, the closest thing to playing on the field that I've experienced in a job of like, you do all the work, you're as prepared as you can. You don't know how this game is going to go. Like, I feel like when I'm calling a game, it's like, yeah, we're making a movie, only we have no script and we have no idea how the story is going to end. Go. And so, you know, it's a real challenge, but I think it's like you just do the best you can and you get people around you who support you and who build you up when you're having doubts, and you just give it your best. And thank God there wasn't Twitter when I was a player. Oh my gosh. Like, I can't imagine what these women and these guys are going through right now. But I'm really grateful for the skills that I learned as a player. And I feel like every day on the regular, I use those skills for sure.
I mean, it is incredible. And I think like you hit the nail on the head, that sort of adrenaline rush. I mean, as a player, you know how to manage those emotions. And then as a broadcaster, like live TV, literally anything can happen. We know that. But this is, you know, this is how we know you now in MLS circles. Like you are a rock star broadcaster for the San Jose Earthquakes. We've seen you at Fox, Big Ten Network. The way you've kind of talked about it, it seems like going into broadcasting was sort of a natural fit for you. But can you kind of tell us like how you entered into this side of the industry?
Yeah. It was a little bit by luck. I was coaching at Northwestern University when the Big Ten Network started, and it was the first college network, right? Before now you have SEC and ACC and Pac-12 and everyone, but the Big Ten Network was the first network. And I was living in Chicago, headquarters of Big Ten and the studio. And they came up and they said, hey, do you think you can talk about soccer on TV? Because they were looking for talent. For all of a sudden, they had to like fill 24 hours of air, and there wasn't a lot of people to do it. And so they said, yeah, can you talk about soccer? And I said, of course. And I had no idea what I was doing, but neither did anybody else. So it was kind of okay. And I feel like it was the greatest place to learn because we were all learning together. I met Kevin Egan there. Like we started a soccer show.
Hey,
Hey Kev. We just kind of cut our teeth and learned together. I actually have a funny story about Kevin because I swear I swear the first ever time he did play-by-play was with me because he was a color analyst before and crossed over. And I remember being like, he like forgot to call the goal because he was so used to being an analyst. I was like, no, you have to say, go, talk. But we were all learning, and it was kind of a safe place to learn in that way. And so every year they asked me to do a couple of more games. And then when Fox won the rights from ABC and ESPN for the World Cup, that was starting in 2015, and they were really looking for some new faces. And so I went and kind of tried out with icon JP Dellacamera, I did okay. And then I got to call a World Cup in 2015 in Canada, and then really just continued to build from there in terms of getting some experience with the Chicago Fire, with the San Jose Earthquakes, and then also calling 2 Olympics now, which has been really fun too.
Well, we're lucky to have you in the broadcasting space, and everything that you bring to it, and are always looking forward to seeing your name pop up. And for those of you that don't know who we're talking about with Kevin Egan, he is the play-by-play for Atlanta United and former colleague of Danielle Slaton's at the Big Ten Network.
Yes.
Danielle, you're coming to us. For those of you that are watching this interview, for those of you that are listening, there's a nice little kids tent in the background.
Yes.
Danielle, we know you're celebrating your son's second birthday this month. So, we talk about everything that you're doing. You also became a mom. How at all has that changed the equation for you in all that you juggle, or has it?
It definitely has. And as crazy as it is, I feel like becoming a mom has made me a better employee, a better worker. I have learned how to be efficient with my time. I have learned how to prioritize in my world now. If it's not hell yes, it's no. It's just how we go, right? I don't have the luxury of saying yes to everything. But I love being a mom. I love the fact that I think during COVID, people have become more receptive and open to hey, this is my life. This is how it goes.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful for employers and colleagues and friends who have just been yeah, we're rolling with this. It is incredibly difficult. I am tired all the time. But it is pure. It's kind of like preseason, honestly. It's you're suffering and it's hard, but going through it is, it's putting you in a better place, and it's making you stronger. And it is just pure joy and love. And I can see him coming here. Come here. Come here, buddy. Come here. Say hi.
Hey! What's your name?
Can you say hi?
Hi, buddy.
Can you say hi?
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for sharing your mom with us.
And it's just, it's a joy in so many ways. And so I'm really grateful for it. And I'm just really appreciative that people like the Earthquakes, allow me to bring my kid along, right?
Yeah.
And this is how we go. And that's a wonderful part about sports, I think, is that your family can participate in a way that maybe you couldn't in another industry. And I'm really happy about that.
That's amazing. What's his name?
Johnny.
Johnny.
Oh gosh, we were blessed with a Johnny cameo today. It's a good day.
It's a good day.
Danielle, earlier you kind of spoke about athletes using their platform, and you are such a powerful voice in the soccer community. You've used your platform to raise awareness, to drive progress for women, as we've talked about, but also for racial equality. And you recently tweeted out something that I love. You said, "I'm proud to be a Black woman, proud to support the BWP Collective and the Black Players for Change at MLS, proud to be a former soccer player, proud to be a board member for the U.S. Soccer Foundation. I promise to keep doing my part to pay it forward for the next generation, just like these groups." And in the past, you have talked about the importance of access and equity in the game being something that's so integral in allowing players in maybe underserved communities, in Black communities, to have access to the game. Danielle, can you kind of speak about what you think has been done, what's been done well, and what needs to continue to happen? Maybe there's areas that we need to improve, especially in the MLS world. How do we do that?
Yeah, I think there are steps that are being taken, and I'm really hopeful. And I think, the biggest thing that I see from a league perspective or an organizational perspective is we need to continue to make sure that we have every kind of voice at the table when it comes to decision making. I don't think that's been the case always. And I think I see MLS taking strides towards that. I'm hopeful that will continue to improve, but it's not like a black or white thing, right? It is an everybody thing. So when I talk about diversity, I mean diversity in the most diverse sense of the term, right? We need women, we need LGBTQ representation, we need Black, we need Latinx, we need everybody to share their experience. And I think that we are an extremely diverse country. I come from the Bay Area, which is an extremely diverse place. And it is hard. It is hard that everybody has different perspectives and experiences. But I think if we can find a way to get through those differences and actually find common ground and communicate, I think that's when the magic happens. And the beauty about soccer is that we have this shared language and understanding that we can build that foundation upon. But that's a big, lofty theoretical idea. The challenge is that we actually have to get into these neighborhoods and get into these places and figure out what the challenges are. Are the challenges money? Are the challenges these kids want to play and they don't have transportation because their parents are working and they can't get to a practice for, the academy or whatever it is? Are the challenges that they get to an academy and they're the only Black kid on their team and they feel like they don't have anyone that they can connect to? There's so many nuances and layers to it. And I think it's incumbent upon all of us to really find ways to dive a little deeper to figure out how to continue to move the needle forward. But just like the women's sports thing, it's not a small issue and it's going to take all of us to figure out how we start to deal with it. And it's a nuanced issue because it's different geographically.
Yeah,
it's so true.
The first part of it is obviously recognizing it, but then doing it. I remember when, the whole Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, girl dad movement came out, and Elle Duncan said something so good on ESPN. She said, "I want men, and this isn't just a male-female issue, but I want men to bring that hashtag girl dad energy into the boardroom." And, I think that's so encompassing to everything of you can tweet about it and talk about it, but to be about it is a totally different thing in all facets of trying to gain access and grow the game. Let's talk about the San Jose Earthquakes for our MLS fans. Danielle, what should they be optimistic about this season? What's your season outlook for the Quakes?
I'm hopeful. I'm nervous. I'm being straight up. I think, they just acquired Francisco Calvo from Minnesota. And so that makes me think, okay, Matias might be thinking about playing a 3-back. We haven't seen the team. They've been in Santa Barbara this whole time, so I haven't yet had a chance to see them play. I'll be able to check out a preseason game here coming up soon. But to me, the biggest question is how are they going to score goals? Chofis is a designated player, but he's on loan, so I have big questions about if they're going to sign him in the summer. Obviously, losing Chris Wondolowski is just a massive blow to the face of your organization in a way, right? It's not like his production last year was super high, but he has been an anchor for this franchise and he's still going to be around. But I'm thinking okay, how are we going to infuse this attacking personality and that swagger and that attitude that he brought? So I'm hopeful, but I'm also nervous.
Questions. Yeah.
is that
No,
fair?
I think that's
That's a lot
entirely
of
fair.
questions.
Well, it's funny because they're one of the most inconsistent teams. At times, they can be so good and look so dynamic and be the most entertaining team to watch in MLS. And then, from one game to the next, it can look entirely different. And as you say, that attacking prowess kind of just
Totally.
leaves for extended periods of time. So it's one of these, I want them to do well because when they're playing well and when they're firing, they are so dynamic and so much fun to watch. But it's like,
and I mean, the reality too is like Matias Almeida is in the last year of his contract. And that's like, I think that's part of the inconsistency, but his style of play is like on a knife's edge and it can go one way or the other, like very quickly. And so to me, I feel like, maybe he's a little bit on the hot seat, but at the same time too, like he's in the last year of his contract. So maybe they stick it out regardless of if they're flying high or struggling. And if they're flying high, then the question is like, okay, do you bring him back for another year, knowing that like this year was fantastic, but that you saw some inconsistency in the previous 3 years under his leadership. So I think there's some big questions to be answered. And I think, quite frankly, I feel like we'll have I always feel like 10 games into the season, you get a good sense of who a team is really going to be. So I don't know when that is, like April-ish. Let's do this again and we can hash it out.
We'll chat again. Exactly. Yeah, they are. They're one of these teams I have like a big question mark by. It's like, I don't know. I just don't know. Danielle, we, as a former defender, we know Kevin Egan told Jill, he was like, you've got to ask Danielle about defenders. She loves to give the defenders some love. So we're going to play a little kind of a quick little game that we've dubbed Remember the Defender. So that the defenders need love too. We love it, like it's not just about the strikers, it's the defenders. So we're going to present you with like a few different scenarios, like game scenarios. And you are going to pick from any U.S. defender, can be somebody from NWSL, MLS, U.S. Women's National Team, U.S. Men's National Team, and you're going to tell us which defender you're putting into this situation. Okay. All right? Okay, so we're going to start. So this is the dying seconds of a match, okay? The game is tied. You've got a corner kick to win this one, so you're putting everybody up front. Who's the defender that's going to rise up and head that baby in?
Walker Zimmerman. Hello, he just did it.
He literally
no question. Right?
Really did.
Opposite scenario, you're on the other end. Who you gonna trust to clear that thing?
Oh, I'm gonna go old school throwback. Carla Overbeck.
Okay.
She was like an anchor for the U.S. Women's National Team. She could do it all, and I think she's one of the greatest defenders ever. So I would rely on her in any situation, including that one.
Let's go, Carla. Okay. So the opposition is breaking on the counter. Who is tracking back and making that tackle to stop the score?
Like, who's the fastest person I know? Like,
yes.
Christy Pierce.
There we go.
Maybe, or Christy Rampone. Sorry, I knew her as Piercy. Yeah, I'm going to go with Christy Pierce. Like, I feel like that was part of, her strength as a defender for the U.S. Women's National Team.
Who is someone that no matter what they've got to do, is going to just completely sacrifice their body?
I mean, I feel like I'm skewing to all the players I played with.
Oh, that's
but
okay.
That's totally
Kate Markgraf, like literally Michelle Akers like broke her jaw and she had her jaw wired shut because who the hell goes into a tackle like that with Michelle Akers? Like, you don't do that. So I feel like it's got to be Kate Markgraf, no question.
Love it. Okay, and then this one I guess doesn't have to be a defender, but I feel like defenders know how to have fun. These. But who's planning the post-game celebration? Who are you picking to get the party started?
I mean, have you seen her dancing, Crystal Dunn? Like, challenge me, people. Challenge me.
Yeah. Crystal Dunn is.
We love Crystal Dunn.
Living through those.
I know she's gonna have a baby here soon. I feel like in a couple months. So.
Her training videos of just having a big old baby bump, but still out there training is like okay.
Yeah, she might be the one who's still pregnant, could track back actually. So maybe I should change my answer from Christy Pierce to Crystal Dunn.
I believe it.
We love Crystal Dunn. Danielle Slaton, this was so much fun. Before we let you go, we've talked about all that you do, all that you've done. What does 2022 hold for you? Is there anything else that you want to kind of add to that resume?
I would say I really hope that an NWSL franchise comes to the Bay Area. I think that's like a dream of mine that, we would love to try to make happen. I cannot wait for the World Cup. I think this is going to be a massive year for our men's national team. And I just am really excited for what the future brings in terms of soccer. I feel like it's at an inflection point. We see a CBA from the NWSL. We see, different deals getting done and new sponsorships coming. And I'm just really hopeful for the growth of the game in this country. And I'm excited to play my role in it.
We could talk to you all day.
I know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
guys.
Danielle.
It's been such a pleasure. Let's do it again. Woo-woo.
Big moment now here on the Call Up, the moment that we've all waited for. It is time for our 2022 preseason power rankings for the best dressed head coach in Major League Soccer. And we will let the people know we only included coaches that we saw on the sideline in a head coaching role last season.
Only fair.
The newbies, we have a scouting report on, and we'll get to that after.
Yes, I'm glad you prefaced with that, Jill, because I didn't want to feel like anyone's getting slighted. But we can only give our rankings on things that we have actually seen on the sidelines. So just to be fair, that's how this works.
You can't go forward until you pay homage to the year prior.
Yes.
We have not reigned our 2021 best dressed head coach yet. Can you believe it? Now, are we still calling it? We named it in our inaugural season.
Oh, no, we have to, because he's the
Lucci
Gonzalez. Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's the OG.
It's like the Landon Donovan League MVP award.
Might not be here, but
yeah. May not for right now be a head
his
coach in MLS.
legacy lives on.
But this is the 2021 Golden Hanger Lucci Gonzalez Best Dressed Coach Award is going to. I swapped out a cardigan for a hoodie. It goes to nobody's surprise here, the best dressed coach in MLS, Jim Curtin. So congratulations to the Philadelphia Union and Jim Curtin for getting our award.
Curtin. Now, Jill, some people might say, I think you guys probably were influenced by the fact that he wore your hoodie at a press conference and gave the podcast a shout out. And while that is certainly true, and perhaps went into our decision, we have to say that, we really reflected on Jim's entire body of work all season long. Mm-hmm. He was very versatile. He did rock the hoodie. That's his sort of staple, his go-to look with the tied strings. But we saw in the playoffs, just like the elevation, the Prada, the designer clothes, his shoe game is always impeccable. So there was a lot of factors that went into this. It was not just the fact that he wore the call-up hoodie, though that didn't hurt. But Jim Curtin, you are, listen, we have high expectations for you this season too, which leads us into the 2022 MLS Best Dressed Coach Power Rankings. This is it. This is how we're starting off. I feel really good. I put a lot of thought into this, Jill.
It's important.
It is. This is the stuff that matters. This is the content that people want. And I feel really good about the choices that I've made so far. So this is how it's going to work. Jill and I have both compiled our top 10. And we don't know each other's top 10. So we're going to see, how we sort of both compare here. Are we ready to do this?
Well, I have one question before we get started. I just want to point out 1 year ago, I had Jim in my preseason power rankings at number 1, and he held on to that top spot, honestly, all year long.
Yeah.
Do I win, or does Lucci Gonzalez's firing from FC Dallas kind of throw a wrench into that situation?
Really good question.
Are there winners and losers?
Power rankings, there's no winners or losers, I think, because power rankings are meant to shift, that's the whole concept of power ranking. So I think it shows that you have good foresight. He was very high on my list. And had Lucci stuck around,
but he upped his game a lot over the.
I think because he felt the pressure. He felt he knew that he was very high on the list.
I was just curious because I tend to defer to you. So I was just, I don't know if it was a win by default,
Listen,
but I was just
think
really.
Lucci, had he hung around, would have been right up there in the top. Because that, I mean, again, he is, our trophy is named in honor of him. He's that good. He's that stylish.
Yeah. The Lucci Gonzalez
him in
MLS
this
Best Dressed Coach Award. I just needed to get that out finally. The Lucci Gonzalez MLS Best Dressed Coach Award. All right. Coming in at number 10, this one was tough because it's really a call to action to both guys. Brian Schmetzer to start off the year last year. I really want to see him up his game. I don't know if I saw it. So room for improvement for Brian Schmetzer. I'm leaving him out, but I think he can creep in. So at number 10, I have Phil Neville. Again, this is a call to action because he's got David Beckham, and I just don't really feel like I saw what I'd expect to see from David Beckham's manager last year.
From Phil.
Yeah, too many. At number 9, I have Bruce Arena. Might sound shocking, but I think there's something kind of like Anna Wintour's like classic. It's like, you know what you're going to get. It's classic and it's black.
Wow.
And I think you have to pay some respect to that. 10. Yeah, with consistency. Bob Bradley, you just spent some years in Los Angeles. Do you bring that to Toronto?
Do you bring the stylist to Toronto? That's the real question.
Is that in the TFC budget? To be determined. He can easily move out of this spot. At number 7, Gonzalo Pineda. Again, about consistency, but he's always in Atlanta United gear or the very well-fitted Atlanta United team suit. The guy's 39 years old. I think there is room for improvement here, and I think he could move up. I think he has it in him. I've seen what the guy wears when he's kind of like not on the clock, and I think we have room for that. At number 6, Caleb Porter. Very, very reliable. He's never going to blow you out of the park, but he's never going to nail it home either.
Consistency.
Yeah, consistency. Not like Bruce's, but still consistent. At number 5, Matias Almeida. 3 words, 3-piece suit. That's all I got to say. He rocked some again this past season. And what coach Phil Neville does sometimes too, but I just wasn't blown out of the park by him. Go, Matias. Number 4, Hernan Losada. We saw bomber jackets, which is not super common in MLS.
Big fan.
But again, call to action here. I'd like to see a little less bomber, maybe like more t-shirt action. He leaned a lot into the bombers this year, but still very well dressed. And the guy like rocks some cool frames, right? At number 3, really soaring up my power rankings is Robin Fraser because we saw so much from him. We saw the sweater vest, we saw the suit and tie, the Rapids athleisure wear, and it was always very understated, but very, very sleek. And my top 1 and 2 are just real classics, real OGs. At number 2, I have Greg Vanny because he kept it good in LA. Didn't see as many scarves as I would have liked.
Well, it's hot there.
Yeah, but the guy's living in Los Angeles and he's doing a good job kind of matching the moment.
He needs a new accessory. You know, the scarf worked in Toronto.
Well, what's an accessory for?
Sunglasses. I would like to see some shades, perhaps.
Duh. I love that. So at number 2,
why don't we see coaches rocking shades on the sidelines? Because a lot of times
it'd be great for a poker face.
Yes, it would.
Call me boring, call me basic, but at number 1 is our reigning champion, Jim Curtin. I mean, the man mixed it up. He showed versatility. He showed a call-up hoodie. He showed a Prada jacket. Probably the best kicks, too, in the league. And I'm just excited to see what he brings this year because I feel like last year we saw his game from April onward just elevate. And I'm really excited for what this year holds. And we saw what naming him in our top list did last year, you know, to his game. And I'm raised the game. Who knows the pressure that Jimmy C is going to feel now as the reigning champion.
Oh, wow. Okay. That was amazing. I have to say, Jill, we have very different lists.
Different?
Very.
I'm so excited.
Very different lists.
Well, I was terrified. I was terrified that we show up in the same clothes all the time. I was terrified that we were going to have the same list.
No, I think you're going to be shocked. I think you're going to be really shocked at sort of the variety that has been presented here today. Okay. Woo! All right. Okay, I'm going to kick things off. This is my compilation of the top 10 MLS Best Dressed Coach Power Rankings for 2022, and we're going to start with number 10. In number 10, 10th place, I have Matias Almeida. Now, for me, we know that he can rock the three-piece suit. Of course, a lot of this hinges on his hair, which is the sort of asterisk here because it is a look. I am talking about the entire look. I miss the hair. I want him to grow it back. That is why he is at number 10. So I think it's just the whole package that we're looking at. So Matias Almeida at number 10. Let's see what he brings this year. Number 9. This is fun. I threw in Ronnie Dyla. Okay. And this is a little bit of a, I don't know. I think this is a surprise pick because we all know, we saw his celebration after NYCFC won MLS Cup where he.
Do non-close count?
Exactly. I think it does. And so I like the variety. That's why he's in there. Perhaps we see more of those celebrations. Who knows? But Ronnie Dyla, we're going to put you at number 9 because he showed us everything, literally. Everything, down to the skivvies, kids. I'm just saying. And I appreciated it. So he made this list. Ronnie Dyla, number 9. Number 8. This guy is quickly becoming one of my favorite characters in Major League Soccer. Vanni Sartini, head coach of the Vancouver.
I knew you'd get it, man.
Okay, here's the thing. He's a little bit nuts, which I love. And I think you can see that in his style. His shoes, he was wearing, I watched him on the sidelines. I was in Sporting Kansas City for the playoffs, and they were playing Vancouver, and he had these incredibly loud, like they were definitely European. I can't remember what brand they were, but they were like striped shoes. He had really nice fitting jeans on. And I was just like, this guy, like he's a little bit cash, but he kind of brings the funk. Vanni Sartini is number 8. Okay, number 7, Peter Vermees. Because Peter Vermees is always, the way you described Caleb Porter, that's kind of Peter Vermees for me. His suits, he's a big suit guy. We know this. But they are immaculately tailored. And I really think that it elevates it. It takes it to another level. And, he's very consistent with the colors. It's always usually some sort of shade of blue, which goes along with Sporting Kansas City. So I would like to see a little bit more variety from him, but I have to give him props because his suits are always immaculate. And he looks good. He wears them well. I think he's one of these like under the radar guys. So keep your eyes.
That's a great shout. That's a great shout.
PV. Okay. Number 6.
And he wears a sleeveless shirt every once in a while.
Exactly. And he puts on the PV gun show, which we're here for in training. Have we had any photos of that yet? While the guys he can
crack my power rankings on second thought.
I'm telling you,
gun show.
There's room, and this is what power rankings are for. They are to shift.
To get you going.
Keep an eye on PV. Okay, number 6, Greg Vanny. So Greg Vanny is at number 6. He is a very well put together man.
I'm shocked by you.
Absolutely,
right now.
I know. But again, I was missing. I pointed it out in your list. Like I think in the absence of the scarf, there needs to be like a defining Greg Vanny accessory, Okay. And I'm pushing for that. I just want to see a little more creativity from him on the sidelines because I know it's LA, but again, like some sunglasses, something like that. Let's go. A little more color, perhaps. He lives in LA, like Greg Vanny. Okay. Number 5, Robin Fraser, Colorado Rapids head coach, Robin Fraser. Do you know what I love about this guy? The variety, because he will rock a tracksuit, but he will also rock a 3-piece suit. He will rock the sweater with the tie underneath it. His tie collection is amazing.
Girl, I know. That's why I gave him my stuff.
Amazing. So Robin Fraser is definitely, he's one that I expect to like climb.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see what he brings this year, but he kind of checks all the boxes for me. Number 4, Wilfred Nancy. In the same vein as Robin Fraser, this is a guy who can mix it up. And low-key, do you know what? He rocks these like fitted t-shirts. Like t-shirts are, you can tell when somebody spends money on a t-shirt. It's not just like he threw on a Hanes t-shirt. Like this is like a Xenia or I don't know, some like super, like a Prada t-shirt. Like it just fits right. And that is Wilfred Nancy. It's simple, but it's so classy. And he gets the fit right. And so Wilfred Nancy is up there at number 4. Number 3, Hernan Losada, that made your top 10 as well. I'm a big jacket gal. And so I just like that he kind of I feel like he kind of keeps you on your toes a little bit. Like I feel like we could see some some variety from him this season. Cause like the jackets, like he kind of brought that bomber jacket vibe, but I think he maybe a little leather jacket. He's definitely into like the coats. And so that's what I'm keeping my eye on with Hernan. Number 2, Gio Savarese. Oh, let's be honest. He did not love the scarf that we presented to him at MLS Cup. Mind you, we were a little tipsy when we created that thing. So it wasn't terribly offended. But Gio Savarese, I think, is severely underrated in the well-dressed coaches conversation.
Wow. I'm shocked by this one. Not that he doesn't deserve to be in the top 10, but I'm shocked by where he
Gio
goes.
Savarese.
Don't think that scarf situation didn't weigh in my factoring.
It's fair. It's fair. But he's just one of these guys that like, he gets it right. In Portland, I feel like it's a lot about the outerwear because it's the weather.
Yeah. And that is harder.
It's harder. It is. It's kind of, throws a wrench into things. And so I feel like he adapts very well, and he's got a variety of different looks and coats, and they're all exceptional. And then number 1, Jimmy C. Tops my power rankings for 2022 MLS best dressed coach for all the reasons that we've already said. The guy is just he just gets it right, and he's got his own unique style. He's very authentically Jim, which I think is it's really important in these power rankings. You want to represent yourself. And I think Jim Curtin is very himself and authentic, and he likes to be comfortable, but he also likes to look good. And I think we're putting a little bit of pressure on him, putting him in the number 1 spot as the reigning trophy winner. But I believe in him, and I think he's going to come through for us in 2022. I have a wild card on here, which is a guy that made your list with Bob Bradley, because my question is, how much of what he learned in LA, because we know he had a stylist. Thank you, Mara Paulson. How much is he going to take to Toronto? Or is he taking a stylist to Toronto? Like, these are the questions I have. So I'm going to be watching him carefully.
There's a lot of pressure on, now I wouldn't say so much on Bob Bradley, but on Jim Curtin, because now, like, you're the reigning champ. We both have you at number 1.
Yes.
It's going to be tough to hold on to that top spot. And for those of you wondering, like, when, we are going to revisit this every few months, do a little check-in. We want to let the people kind of get going. Yeah. We want to let spring come.
But definitely,
there will be a shuffling for
send us photo. Like, if you see things, guys, we need you to be our eyes and ears on the ground, because if you
the fashion police needs some extra squad members.
Exactly. So we're recruiting right now. And please, like, just tweet us pictures, because you're going to help us decide, and you're going to be very influential in these power rankings throughout the season. So Jill, I do have a wild card in these power rankings, and that is Bob Bradley, a guy who did not make my list. He made your list, but like I said when you were giving yours, my question is does he take what he learned in LA and apply it to his time in Toronto? Because we know he had a stylist in LA, a little birdie told us that. And I'm just
got ears everywhere, people. Don't think you're getting away with it.
We do. And so we have sources. And so I just want, maybe he brought that stylist with, or maybe he just, took some fashion cues that he's going to carry over into Toronto. I have questions. So he did not make my top 10, but he is a wild card for me. And so this is, again, guys, this is power rankings. They are meant to shift throughout the year. And so we need you guys, we really do. We need you guys to like be on this for us, because you're going to be our eyes and ears. So if you see things on the sidelines, questionable fashion choices, really great fashion choices, you need to like send us the info, take pictures, tweet at us.
The fashion police needs squad members everywhere.
We are recruiting right now, the call up fashion police. So Jill, there's also a bunch of new head coaches. So we're going to give our like first impressions of the guys that we've seen. I'll start with Nico Estevez, who is he's the new head coach in Dallas. Big shoes to fill. Hello, Luchi Gonzalez. Like, I don't know. That's a lot of pressure for a guy, but he seems to.
But is that fair? Should we be comparing him to Luchi?
I don't know, but he seems to wear a lot of hoodies. So this is like,
in Dallas?
In Dallas, yeah.
That sounds hot.
Hoodies, a lot of hoodies.
And I mean warm.
I know,
but maybe hot.
Next one up is Ezra Hendrickson, new head coach of the Chicago Fire.
I have room for him.
I have room for him, but here's the thing. He's a former player and has been coaching for a very long time. He has really adopted the like the tracksuits. I don't think he strays too far from the tracksuit, Jill. I did some digging.
What's the word? What's a nicer word for lazy? Easy?
Complacent?
Yeah, the tracksuit is a easy answer.
It is.
Like I pointed out Phil Neville, that I was like, he kind of came out with some suits, some 3-piece suits, but then he really slid into the pinky blue tracksuits, and I'm like, this is too easy.
Yes. Agreed.
I'd love to wear a tracksuit to work. I'd love to wear my pajamas.
Says the girl sitting here wearing sweatpants as she records.
Right. But
podcast.
For things like games, I have to get dressed.
Yes.
So I'd like to see coaches this year get dressed.
Get dressed.
Please get dressed.
Yes. Okay, so Ezra is the tracksuit guy. Oh, Jill. Okay, so Miguel Angel Ramirez is the new head coach of Charlotte FC. Inaugural MLS season. And let me tell you, I was in Charlotte a few weeks ago and got a first-hand glimpse at this guy. Okay? We're going to show this image. I'm showing Jill this right now. These are Dolce & Gabbana sneakers that he was rocking.
Those are $1,000 shoes.
Literally $1,000 sneakers. All right, next up is Steve Cherundolo, LAFC's new coach. And he wears a lot of black. He's another tracksuit guy, Jill, but is the stylist incoming for this guy? Is LAFC going to give him the Bob Bradley treatment?
This is my new hashtag for 2022, get dressed.
Yep. Get dressed. Next up, we've got Paulo Nagamura, who is the Houston Dynamo head coach. And I will tell you, Jill, this guy has a lot of promise. I did a little Google search. I'm seeing a lot of fitted sweaters, tailored suits, good jackets. I think he worked under Peter Vermees for a while in the Sporting Kansas City system. And so I feel like maybe he's like getting a little like PV influence there, but everything was very polished. So he is promising. He's a promising.
Well, as we know, Houston is hot as heck. So I'm interested to see how he'll translate that into t-shirts.
Last one, and you have firsthand intel on this, so I need to get your take. Pat Noonan, who worked under Jimmy C.
They're all cut from the same
He's the
cloth.
new Cincinnati head coach. Like, are we gonna see Jim Curtin vibes from Mr. Pat Noonan?
I think it's a possibility, but if I learned anything about the super draft in Cincinnati, it's that there's a lot of pressure on Cincinnati right now. And you get the feeling that it's in the pot to work, but everyone is a little on edge in Cincinnati in a good way. But I don't think he's going to come out of the gate wanting the attention on
so he'll
him.
Play it safe.
I think if they got going and they got, more than 4 wins or something like that then I think he'd be like, okay, I can kind of be myself.
Okay.
So I think it's in the tank, but I don't think it's going to come out at the start.
Woo, boy.
That's just me, reading.
No, I love that. I think that's incredible intel. But this was thorough, and because this is what we do, we care. We care about fashion.
Can I thank you for your scouting report on the new head coaches to the league?
100%. This is what I'm here for. And I
know who we didn't put in there though?
Who?
Because he kind of fell in between. We didn't put Pablo Mastroeni in either spot.
So okay, here's the thing with Pablo. I thought about putting him in my original top 10, but
because we've seen him as an MLS head coach.
We have seen him,
obviously, with the Colorado Rapids.
Exactly. But I saw a lot of RSL last year in the playoffs, and it was tracksuit. And so I was like, yeah, again, there we go. Use that hashtag, people. And so Pablo is definitely one to watch. He's capable. Especially if he gets creative with his facial hair again. We love the mustache. That always just sort of adds a little something extra. But he did not crack my top 10 because he's a tracksuit guy.
I'm just making sure so the people know where we categorized him. That it's not that we forgot him in the new coaches. That he didn't crack either one of our top 10s.
Make the list.
What is on tap? Well, you know what's on tap, only the MLS season. It all kicks off this Saturday at 1 o'clock Eastern time. Head over to MLSsoccer.com for the complete schedule, but I am pumped.
I cannot believe it. It's here.
Yay!
Guys, you also have time to head on over to the MLS store to get your team's 2022 jersey right before the season kicks off. This is so amazing. We had a few teams send us some swag. I am rocking the new Chicago Fire jersey with the new crest right now. I've got Dallas and Vancouver right behind me. Super, super sharp. The Dallas one gives me like super retro vibes. And I will tell you, Vancouver is just consistently like classy. I always love Vancouver's kits, and this one is no exception. So,
who doesn't love a white cap?
right?
Exactly. Who doesn't love a white cap? No surprise, I'm repping Atlanta United.
Whoop, whoop.
5 stripes, classic home kit. Love it. And got a little love for Minnesota United behind me. Oh, I just kind of realized.
Is that
yes.
black? Nice.
So it's black with really nice baby blue detailing.
Oh, pretty.
Yeah, it's very nice.
I like
these are just some of the jerseys available at the MLS store. So go get them, people.
Go get them, guys.
We will see all of you after week 1.
Hey, enjoy! MLS is back.
What's up, everybody? It is Susanna Collins and Jillian Sakovitz, co-hosts of The Call Up. And if you want more Call Up action, hit like and subscribe right here on YouTube, right there.
And also make sure that you download every episode of The Call Up every single Tuesday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time or anywhere that you get your podcasts. And while you're here, why not check out some of these other videos as well?